Hey, friends! The Happy Hooker. How did I get rooked into reviewing this movie? What was that? Oh yeah, I wanted to see it. Anyway, this time we're talking about The Happy Hooker, a movie from 1975. It's like Rambo. I'll explain that in a minute. This movie was based on the famous bestseller by the same name, The Happy Hooker, which purports to tell the true story of one Xaviera Hollander, who became a famous madam operating a high-class bordello in New York. Our story goes like this. Xaviera emigrates to the United States to marry a guy, but it turns out he's not all she hoped he'd be. He's kinda weak and under his mother's domineering thumb. Disillusioned, the marriage never takes place. To make ends meet, she takes a job as a translator. Outside of office hours, she explores the world of singles bars and has lots of makeouts, since she likes makeouts. Eventually, she gets the idea into her head that, hey, since she really likes makeouts, why not go on the game and get paid for it? Soon, she's making way more cash than if she had a regular job, to the tune of $1,000 a night. And that was in 1968 money. After a while, she joins a high-class operation as one of the girls on staff, so to speak. After doing this for a bit, she decides to start her own operation, hiring away the best girls from her employer. Xaviera Hollander was a real person, although that wasn't her real name. Her real name was Xaviera DeVry. She was finally collared in 1971 and forced to leave the United States. Then she wrote a book, and then Canon made this movie. The rest is history. So what about flashing the goods? This is all about high-class ladies of the evening getting it on with clients. So you'd expect some sexy scenes, right? Well, since Lynn Redgrave is the star playing Xaviera here, that doesn't happen. Mostly the girls are seen in lingerie. There is a smattering of nudity, but it's very brief and not from Xaviera. And neither she nor the other ladies are seen engaged in hot makeouts. Now, this picture led to two other films, starting with 1977's The Happy Hooker Goes to Washington. Here, since Xaviera is a paragon of makeouts, she's called before a congressional committee on moral decay. Eventually, she's talked into doing some after-hours diplomacy to help out Uncle Sam. This time, there's a lot more nudity, and the movie is a straight-up comedy. Xaviera is played by a scrumptious Joey Heatherton. Again, no goods flashing is in evidence from her. Any makeouts she has are decidedly undercover. That brings us to the third and final picture in the series. The Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood from 1980. As you can guess, it's about a studio wanting to make a movie about the Happy Hooker. In this one, Xaviera is played by Martine Beswick, who starred in two Bond films, From Russia with Love and Thunderball. We last saw her in my review of Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. She played Sister Hyde, if you were wondering. At long last, in this picture, we get to see Xaviera in action, if you know what I mean. As part of the comedy, we also see a lot of the clientele engaged in dopey roleplay with costumes and stuff. It amazes me just how many familiar faces wound up in these pictures. Lynn Redgrave in the first one, along with Tom Poston, Mason Adams from Lou Grant, and he was also the narrator of the Smucker's Jam commercials. Plus this guy, familiar character actor Vincent Schiavelli. The second picture has Joey Heatherton as Xaviera, George Hamilton, Ray Walston, Joe E. Ross, Billy Barty, Rip Taylor, Larry Storch, and David White from Bewitched. The third one has Richard Deacon from The Dick Van Dyke Show, Phil Silvers as a studio chief, Edie Adams as a gossip columnist, and yes, Adam West as a studio executive. So, why is this franchise like Rambo? Well, a lot of people forget, but the first Rambo movie, Rambo: First Blood, was a serious film. It was only in the sequels that Rambo became the cartoonish killing machine we all know and love from the 1980s. In the first one, he doesn't actually kill anyone, except perhaps indirectly when a guy falls out of a helicopter. Rambo: First Blood had serious things to say about Vietnam and post-traumatic stress disorder. The Happy Hooker tries to say something serious about prostitution at times, but it's undercut by its own comedy. The movie is kind of all over the place. It wants to have its cake and eat it too. To that end, it's a mild comedy with a few more serious moments thrown in, and it's an uneasy alliance at best. On the one hand, Xaviera observes the downsides to the profession she's in, while on the other, she says how much she likes the business and how it's fun and all of that. We see Xaviera reacting to these unhappy events mostly as an observer. Lynn Redgrave plays Xaviera, and I wonder if these scenes were added at her insistence, or the studios, to show that getting into this lifestyle isn't a good idea. That's undercut with Xaviera's lighthearted banter about what she does for a living. The two following films are straight comedy. The girls are all having fun doing what they do, and we never see the downside. In all three movies, Xaviera is, of course, running a high-class operation, so it's not like the girls are on the streets with the abuse, potential violent encounters, and drug addiction and all of that. But the first movie tends to acknowledge the potential for all of it. Of the three movies, honestly, I thought the first one was kinda meh. It doesn't live up to the hype, unfortunately. Washington and Hollywood are kind of dumb, but both are much more fun and both are much funnier. So there you go, the Happy Hooker. So what do you think? Should they make another sequel to these movies? Who should they get to play Xaviera? You let me know down there in the comments. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.